Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. When I came back the other day after being gone a little bit, I showed some finished pieces that I had made, and one of them was this little cubic right angle weave bracelet that I made. It's made with 8/0 galvanized champagne seed beads and then 4mm Chinese crystal, blue Chinese crystal beads. And I had several of you ask that I show how to do this. I had never shown cubic right angle weave before because it's not exactly a beginner stitch. It's a little bit more advanced. It's not hard, but it's just a little bit more advanced, and I'm not really sure how good job I'm going to do showing you how to do it with the way I fumble and stuff. But I'm going to try to show you. I've got a couple of what look like little blobs here, but they're cubes, I promise. This one is done all in the same color, and you have 6 sides to your cube, so that's 4 beads makes one side, so that's one side, and there's the other side, there's the third side, there's the fourth side, and then the top, and then the bottom, so it's a 6-sided cube. These are made, I did these with 6mm fire polish beads. Most people find it easier to learn cubic right angle weave using 2 different colors of beads. So I made one here with 2 different colors. So I've got the top of my cube are these, I think they're called alabaster red 6mm beads. The bottom is the same, alabaster red. And then all of the sides are, the top is the red and the sides are the lavender colored beads. So I'm going to try to show you on these big beads how to do the cube, and then I'll go into doing the actual bracelet, and I'll try to use, I'm going to do the 2 colored one here because I think that's easier for most people to use 2 different kinds of beads, and I'll be using 2 different kinds and colors of beads in the bracelet. When I started learning how to do it, using 2 different colors confused me, but it seems to be easier for most people, so that's what I'm going to try to do. So, and you'll have to forgive my throat clearing, but I've still not exactly got all my voice back yet. So I'm going to make this same little cube here that I've made. I'll just put him over here to the side. So I'm going to pick up, and there are 2 different ways to start cubic right angle weave. And I'm going to do what I think is, it was the easiest way for me when I first learned how to do it. Now I tend to do the other way. But this way that I'm going to show you how to do was easier for me to begin with. So I picked up a red, a purple, and a red and a purple. And I'm going to tie this in a knot. I don't usually tie knots in bead weaving because the knots tend to get in my way when I'm trying to go back through the beads and stuff, but of course it's not going to matter with these big 6mm beads, and I need it to be really good and tight so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to tie a few knots here. Get my little stuff out of my way. Probably should have went ahead and done this part ahead of time, so y'all don't have to sit here and wait while I tie knots. I'm just going to tie a few really good hot knots because I want this to be good and tight so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to tie a double knot here. Okay, so I'm going to go through another bead or 2 to get away from my knot. I'm going to cut this tail down to get it out of my way so that you can maybe see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to do this one just like I did my example here. I'm going to make the top of my box the red beads and the bottom of my box the red beads. So for a little bit here, all we're going to be doing is right angle weave. So I want the top of my box, the beads on the top and the beads on the bottom, to be red. So I'm going to pick up a red and then a lavender. And then another red. And I'm going to make another right angle weave unit here. I only need 3 because I'm sharing this purple one here on the side. So I'm coming out the top, I'm going to go on the bottom. So that puts my red beads on top, which is what I want. Now I'm going to sew around all this again to tighten it. Until I'm coming back out this lavender bead over here on the side to do another right angle weave unit. This is just right angle weave like we've done a lot of times before. Now I'm coming out the bottom of this purple bead. I want my red beads on the bottom and the top, so I'm going to pick up a red bead, a purple bead, and a red bead. I'm coming out the bottom of this. I'm going to go in the top. And that puts my red beads on the top and the bottom. I'm going to go around and sew around this again and reinforce it. Till I'm coming back out that lavender bead on the end. Now I'm going to turn this into a cube. I'm going to fold it together like that. So I've got one side of my box, my cube. I've got the other side of my cube. I've got a third side of my cube. So I got 3 more sides to make here. Now right here, I've got 2 beads already for this side. I just need my top and my bottom. So I'm going to pick up a red bead because I want that to be my top bead. I'm coming out the top of this lavender bead. I'm going to go in the top of this lavender bead. And they don't really want to set so good because they're big, but now I'm going to make the bottom of this side of my cube, and I want it to be red. So I'm going to pick up another red, and I'm going to go in from the bottom of this lavender bead to the bottom of this lavender bead. So that makes that side of my cube. I'm just going to go around it again to reinforce. So I've got, that's one side of my cube, that's another side of my cube, that's another side of my cube, that's another side of my cube. Now this is the top of my cube, and these are not sewed together. I don't have a thread going through them yet. So I'm coming out this red bead here. I'm just going to sew through all these red beads on the top to get them sewed together. So that gets them sewed together there. Now, the same thing for the bottom of my box. The red beads on the bottom, they're not sewed together either. So I'm going to make my way down here, and I pulled it all out of my hand. And it's the same with this as it is with right angle weave. You always sew at right angles. So I'm going to sew my way down here to the bottom of my box where my red beads are, and then I'm just going to sew them together. So there's the bottom of my box. So I've got the bottom, the top, and then 4 sides, which makes my cube. It's just like this cube. So that's my first cube. Now, I didn't want to take a whole lot of time adding on to this, since this is just my sample to show you how to make the initial cube. I'm going to get my beads that I'm going to use for my bracelet now and start it out, and then I'll show you how we add on cubes to this first initial cube. So hold on, I'll be back. Okay, so what I've got here are some 8/0 galvanized champagne seed beads. And I've got some 11/0 galvanized champagne. I'm just going to use a few of them at the clasp when I put on the wire guard. And I've got some, I didn't have the color on these labeled, but they're sort of a bronzy red color. And then I've got a magnetic clasp and a couple of wire guards and a couple of jump rings that I'm going to use. So, and I've got my size 11 tulip beading needle that I'm using, and I've got some extras here in case I need them. And I've got, I'm using my 8-pound fire line in smoke. And I'll be using my chain nose pliers and my bent chain nose pliers. I use the chain nose pliers to flatten my thread so I can get it through the needle. And then I'll be using both of these when I put my clasp on at the end. And of course I've got my scissors to cut my fire line with. So I'm going to start this out like I did that other one. I'm leaving about a 10-inch tail or so after my stop bead to sew my wire guard on with. So where in this one I did the red beads as the top of my box, in this case the 8/0s are going to be the top of my box. So I'm going to pick up one of my top of my box beads. I'm going to pick up one of my fire polish beads, one of the bottom of my box beads, and another fire polish bead. And then I'm going to sew all these into a circle. Well, I lost a fire polish bead somewhere. I thought I picked it up. Maybe I didn't. Okay, now I'm going to sew through all these again. Till I'm coming out this side fire polish bead here. And now I want my 8/0s to be the top of my box and the bottom of my box. So I'm pick up an 8/0, a fire polish bead, and an 8/0. I'm coming out the top of this fire polish bead. I'm going to go on the bottom. I'm going to go around all of them again to reinforce. till I'm coming out this fire polish bead on the end here. Now I'm going to make another unit of right angle weave. I always, when we start this way, we always make 3 units of right angle weave to begin with. So I'm going to pick up an 8/0, a fire polish bead, and an 8/0. Coming out the top of this fire polish bead, I'm going to go in the bottom. I'm going to sew around it all again. Till I'm coming out this fire polish bead over here on the end. Okay, now I'm going to turn it into a cube. I'm going to push my stop bead out of the way here. Now I'm going to turn it into a cube. I'm going to fold it together. So I've got one side, 2 sides, 3 sides. So I got 3 more sides to make. So I want the top of my box to be my 8/0s. So I'm going to pick up an 8/0 and go from the top of this red bead into the top of this red bead. Pull my thread through. And now I want the bottom of my box to be my 8/0, so I'm going to pick up an 8/0, go from the bottom of this fire polish into the bottom of this fire polish. So that makes that side of my box. So I have that side, that side, that side, and that side. Now, I'm coming out this red fire polish bead here, and the top of my box are my 8/0s, and they're not sewed together, so I need to sew these together. So I'm going to just go through all of them, sewing them together. And if it feels loose, you can go through it several times. Now I need to get down here to the bottom where my 8/0s are so I can sew them together. So I'm going to sew in at right angles. I'm going to go down this fire polish bead. And I'm going to go through this 8/0. And then I'm going to go around all these 8/0s and sew them together. I've got my first little cube. I got my bottom, my top, or my top and my bottom, however you want to look at it. And then I've got one side, 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides. Now I'm going to make my next cube. Now, I'm going to come down this fire polish bead here. And I'm going to, actually I'm sewing in the wrong direction. It's hard for me to sew in this direction, and I don't need for it to be hard for me to do it for y'all, because y'all won't be able to see what I'm doing if it's hard for me to do it. I'm going to turn my thread around. And this is just a little trick to turn your thread around if you need to. I want to be coming out, instead of coming out the bottom of this fire polish bead, I want to be coming out the top of it. So I'm just going to go under this thread bridge here and make me a little half hitch knot. Go through my loop. And now I'm going to go back up this fire polish bead. That's just a little way to turn your thread around if you need to. And this is going to be easier for me if I'm going in this direction. And if I don't get a knot in my thread. No, it wasn't a knot. Okay, now I'm going to be working off of these 4 beads right here. These 4 beads are going to be my base for this next unit. Now we're just going to pretend all these other beads here are not there. We're just looking at these 4 beads right here. I want the top of my next cube to be an 8-0, so I'm going to pick up an 8-0. And I want the side to be a fire polish. And I want the bottom to be an 8-0. Because I need 3 to make my next right angle weave unit here. So I'm coming out the top of this. I'm going to go in the bottom. And that makes that side of my cube. Now I'm going to rotate the piece toward me. And I'm going to go through the next bead in my base, which is my 8-0. Now this is going to be the top of my box, and I want 8-0s to be the top of my box. So I've already got 2 of them. I just need 2 more. So I'm going to pick up 2. And I'm going to go in this 8-0 to make my box, my side. So that's my 4 beads there. It's, I guess, the top of the box is what we're calling these. So I'm going to go through that. Now I'm going to rotate. I'm going to go through that bead on the base that I came out of. I'm going to rotate the piece toward me. I'm going to go through my fire polish bead, which is the next bead on my base. Now I want the top of my box to be 8-0s and the sides of my box to be fire polish. I've already got 2 beads. I've got 1 8-0 for the bottom, 1 fire polish for the side. I just need to make the top and the right side. So I'm going to pick up an 8-0 and a fire polish bead. And I'm going to go in this 8-0 here. And that makes that side of my box. And then I'm going to go back through my base bead that I started in. Now I'm going to turn my piece, rotate my piece toward me. And I'm going to go in the next base bead. Now, I'm up here at the top where I want to have all 8-0s on the top. I've already got 3, so I only need to put 1 up here at the top. In order to do that, I'm going to have to come up this side 8-0. I'm going to pick up 1 8-0 And I'm going to go into this 8-0. And that makes the top of my cube there. So now I'm going to go around, go through this base bead that I started in. I'm going to go back up this 8-0 until I get up here to the top, because I need to sew these together. They're not sewed together. So I'm just going to go through the fire polish, the 8-0, the fire polish, the 8-0, and the fire polish. So that's what I've got now. Now I'm going to make my next, I'm going to make another cube, and these 4 beads right here are going to be my base that I'm going to be working off of. So I need 3 more beads to make this right angle weave unit. I want my top and my bottom to be 8-0s and my side to be fire polish. So I'm going to pick up an 8-0, a fire polish, and an 8-0. Coming out the top, I'm going to go on the bottom. And that makes that side. I'm going to rotate the piece and go into my next base bead. Now this is the top where I want all 8-0s, so I've got 2 8-0s, I just need 2 more. So I'm going to pick up 2 more. And I'm going to go in this 8-0 here to make my little box. Back into my base bead. And that makes that side of my box, the top or the bottom, whichever you want to look at it as. Now I'm going to rotate the piece toward me, go into the next fire polish, next base bead, which is the fire polish bead. Now I need to make this side of my box. I've already got a fire polish and an 8-0 down here. I need an 8-0 on top and a fire polish on the side. So I'm going to pick up an 8-0, a fire polish bead. I'm going to go in this 8-0 down here to make my box. Back into my base bead that I started in. And that makes that side of my box. Now I'm going to rotate the piece toward me, go into my next base bead. Now I'm up here at the top where I want 4 8-0s. I've already got 3, so I've got to go up this side 8-0 so I can be in position to put my 8-0 up here at the top where I need it to be. Pick up 1 8-0, go into this 8-0, go back into my base bead. Now I'm going to sew up here and go up this 8-0 so I can get up here to the top so I can sew all these on the top together. So I'm going to go through my fire polish bead, 8-0, fire polish bead, 8-0, come back out the fire polish bead. So now that's what I've got. So I'm going to do this one more time and then I'll leave you alone. So I'm going to make another cube working off of these 4 beads, these 4 base beads. So I'm coming out the top of this fire polish bead. I want the 8-0 to be at the top, fire polish on the side, 8-0 on the bottom. So I'll pick up an 8-0, fire polish, an 8-0, Coming out the top of this fire polish, I'm going to go on the bottom. That makes that side of my box. Rotate the piece toward me, go into the next base bead, which is an 8/0. Now, this is where I want all 8/0s. I've already got 2, so I just need to pick up 2 8/0s. Go into this 8/0 on the bottom here to make my box. Go back through the base bead that I started in. And that makes the top of my box, or the bottom. Now I'm going to rotate my piece toward me, go into the next base bead, which is this fire polish. Now I want 8/0 on the top and fire polish on the side. I've already got one 8/0 and one fire polish. So I'm going to pick up an 8/0 and a fire polish bead. And I'm going to go into this 8/0 on the bottom here to make my box. And then back into my base bead that I started in. That makes that side. I'm going to rotate the piece toward me, go into the next base bead, which is this 8/0. And now I'm around here to where I need all 8/0s. I've already got 3. So in order to get up here to put this top one in, I need to go up the side, this side one. And I'm going to pick up one 8/0. I'm going to go into this 8/0 on the side here to make my little side of my box. Go back through my base bead. So there I have that. Now I need to get up here to the top to sew the top ones together. So I'm going to go up this side bead, across this fire polish, and sew these 4 beads here on top together. And I'm going to come out this fire polish bead. That's what I've got now. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Whenever I get to the point that I need to add thread, I'll come back and show you how I add thread, but it's the same way I add thread to everything, but I'll come back and show you when I get there. So I'll be back. Okay, I need to add thread now. And sometimes I leave my old thread in just so I know where to, for my new thread to come out, but I don't need to do that. I know that I'm going to need to come out either one of these fire polish beads on the end here. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm just going to sew this old thread in. I'm going to go under my thread bridge here. Come through my loop. Bring my thread down slowly. Go through another bead. Under my thread bridge. Go through my loop. Bring my thread down slowly. Go through another bead. Go under my thread bridge. Go through my loop. Bring my thread down slowly. And go through another couple beads. Cut off my thread. Now I've got another needle threaded here, and I've got a stop bead on it. I'm just leaving about a 6-inch tail, just enough to put a needle on and sew in later. So I'm just going to go down here anywhere in my project and put my needle through. pull it through till my stop bead stops it. Now I'm going to go up another bead or two. Go under my thread bridge here. Go through my loop. I have each knot here just to anchor my thread so that it doesn't come loose when I get up here and start to do my stitch again. Go through another bead or two. Go under my thread bridge. Oh, that's a little thread sticking out there. Must not have cut off very close. Now I'm going to go under a thread bridge here. Go through my loop. Bring my thread down slowly. Go through another bead or two. Go under another thread bridge. Go through my loop. Bring my thread down slowly. Now I'm going to go up here. Sew through until I'm coming out my fire polish bead, which is where I want to be coming out. So now I'm just going to continue on with my stitch, and then I'll take this stop bead off here and put a needle on it and sew it in just like I did that one. So when I get to the end, get to the length that I want, I'll be back. Okay, I've got my length that I want here. Now I'm going to put my wire guardian on. So I'm coming out this 8/0 here. I'm going to pick up 3 11/0s. An 8/0 and my wire guardian. Come back down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back through my 8/0 and one of my 11/0s. I'll hold on to the wire guardian so my thread will fall in the channel there like I want it to. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 11/0s. I'm going to go to the 8/0 opposite the one I started in here. And I'm going to go in the other side of it. I'm going to go diagonally across there. Now I'm going to coming out this 8/0 here, I'm going to sew through this fire polish bead. Back through this 8/0. And now I'm coming out the other side than I was when I started. So now I'm going to go up these 3 11/0s in the wire guard, or the 8/0. I'm going to go up through the wire guardian. Back down the other side of the wire guardian, and the 8/0 and the 11/0 under the 8/0. Hold the wire guardian so the thread falls in the channel there. I'm going to go back down through the 2 11/0s on this side. And then I'm going to go in the opposite side of the 8/0 from where I went through the first time. Now I'm going to go through this fire polish, back through this 8/0. I'm going to go around all this one more time. I'll go back up these, the 2 11/0s and the 11/0 under the 8/0 and the 8/0. Back around the wire guardian. Back down through the 8/0 and the 11/0 under the 8/0. Hold on to the wire guardian so the thread falls in the channel that like I need it to. Now I'm going to go back down these 2 11/0s on this side. And I'm going to go back into this 8/0. That gets my little wire guardian on the end there. And now I'm just going to take my thread down through here and tie 3 1/2-inch knots and tie it off. Then I'm going to go to the other end, take my stop bead off and put the wire guardian the same way that I did this one. And then I'll come back and we'll put the clasp on. Okay, I've got both the wire guards on now. Now I'm going to just put the clasp on. Just got a couple of 6mm jump rings here. So there we go, a little cubic right angle weave bracelet. It's really not that hard. Make some really pretty designs with it. Hold on, let me get some of my beads cleaned up and I'll get this other bracelet out here and I'll be back. Okay, there we go. A couple of little cubic right angle weave bracelets. I really enjoy doing cubic right angle weave. There's so much you can do with it. You can make all kinds of shapes. You can make circles, squares, teardrops. In that finished jewelry video I did the other day, I had a pair of hoop earrings that I had done that was cubic right angle weave, where I just sewed them into a circle and made a hoop shape. You can make necklaces. There's just a whole lot you can do with it. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.